Community leaders in the Forest City come together to raise awareness about the importance of welcoming immigrants and showing love for your neighbor.
Rockford Urban Ministries held the rally the day after Tax Day to highlight how tax dollars could be shared to support immigrants coming to Winnebago County, as well as highlight the challenges of navigating a complex immigration process. Organizers say the reason they held the event after Tax Day is in response to recent comments from Winnebago County board members about if residents really want their tax dollars to be used to help immigrants.
Today we really want to humanize the story of immigration, so we're going to hear stories from folks telling what it's been like for them to be immigrants coming to Winnebago County. And for some of people in our community, they might not have heard stories like that before or might not have been able to see some of these faces. So as people of faith especially, it's important for us to see the connections and the shared humanity between one another.